So welcome to my review of Ys Memories of Celceta for the PlayStation 4. Now, this is based off the Vita version, but this is an enhanced version of that. The Vita version came out in Japan in 2012. It came over here in 2013. Now, what's interesting about this game is it is Ys 4 in the series. Or is it? It's a very kind of confusing history with this, because back in 1993, Falcom released two versions of Ys 4. One was on the Super Famicom, that was Mask of the Sun, not my favorite version of it, but my favorite version of it that was released back then was Ys 4, The Dawn of Ys on the PC Engine. Both of the games are different. They are both different. So when they went to create Celceta on the Vita, they kind of just took a few things they liked out of both, put them together, and did something different, and came up with Celceta. And it's a very strange experience, to say the least. But we're gonna get into all of that. So to start with, you can pick 4 different difficulty settings: easy, normal, hard, and nightmare, like a lot of other Ys games. And also, you can pick your language. So you can pick English or Japanese. And then you get the beautiful opening animation, and that's something that I love in every single Ys game. The details and colors and character designs are second to none, especially the animation itself. It's done to such a high degree, and then it always has that kick-ass music playing in the background that gets you so hyped for playing the game. And then after that, we cut into a town setting, and it's so underwhelming how this game begins, is because all of a sudden you see this cat moonwalking it forward through the city, and you're like, oh my god. At first I was like, what is that? What is that? And I'm like, it's a cat. And I'm like, oh, it's not even really walking on the ground, it's just kind of floating by. And then our hero walks in, my hero right here, he walks in, and he's moonwalking forward as well, just sliding over the ground. This is not a good way to start this game, but let me tell you something, it gets much better. So the story of this game, without ruining too much stuff about it, is that Adol is tasked with going into the Great Forest of Celceta and mapping it all out. Mapping it all out. And as you're doing all of this, all of a sudden, some memories start coming back to you. That, have you done this before? Have you been here before? That's what starts getting uncovered in your journey. Now, let's talk about the graphics. As I say, it starts off and you're like, oh my god, what is going on? What is happening? You have to remember, this is a Vita game to start with. It was a Vita game. So you're gonna get those style of graphics of that time. They realistically look like a PlayStation 3 game. It is 60 frames a second. And for the overall thing, it looks good. It looks pretty okay, right? It looks pretty okay. You can accept the graphics. The towns are pretty nice. But when you get up close to something, sometimes you just see that, oh my god, the textures are a little underwhelming, per se. That's what's interesting about this game, is that it's not great, but it's not terrible. It's just somewhere right in between. And I didn't mind the graphics. For me, these games have never been really realistically about the graphics. It's always been about the music and how that kind of elevates what you're looking at on the screen. And it's always been about that gameplay. Falcom's always been a little bit behind. You have to forgive the game because it is a little bit older. And this is not a full price game. It's a game from many years ago, updated for now, running on the PS4. Obviously, there's a PC port as well that is really, really nice. But some of the monsters are pretty cool. Some of the boss characters are, again, a little bit average, a little bit underwhelming, but they're not terrible. And the one thing that it took me a second to get with the program on was a camera zoom. There's a camera zoom, so if all of a sudden you're way too close in with your characters, which happens sometimes, you can just pull back and zoom back your camera, and then you're like, oh, okay, so it pulls you back and you can look at your surroundings a little bit easier. To be honest, I always feel that the camera should have been out to begin with. it's kind of interesting that you can zoom it in. Sometimes when I was doing some battling, I would zoom in just for the fun of it, but it doesn't really serve a purpose. I just wish it was out more of the time. But any Ys game is born and raised on the gameplay. And how is the gameplay? Is it fun? Yes, it is very, very fun. So like any Ys game, this is an action RPG combat. Now the thing here is that you can have up to 3 different characters in your party at any single time. And you can switch those characters on the fly. And that is really cool because some characters have an advantage for fighting certain monsters and some characters don't. So sometimes you get to a monster, you're like, man, I'm just not making any headway with this enemy. Switch over the character, you'll take that enemy out. So there's a kind of kinetic energy about switching characters. And I've often said in Ys games, I'm not a huge fan of the switching. I always just like using Adol as the main character. I don't want to use all these other characters, but that's me being old school. I do see how it is a lot of fun, and I did have a lot of fun switching out the characters. Now, one thing is as well, you will gain different skills, and then you can map those skills onto your controller and unleash them on your enemies and level them up onto themselves. And that's a lot of fun doing that with all of the different characters. So all the time you're grinding, using different skills, switching out characters, and also you can collect materials. You know, after fighting so many monsters, you can collect materials around the world, bring them back, trade them in, and add different attributes to your weapons. So that's another strategy into itself to throw into the combo mix with your characters. And you also have your super special final attacks, which I absolutely love. They build up in the big yellow orb, and then you unleash them. Every character has one of those. Always a lot of fun using that on a boss encounter, taking them out. Also, different characters have different traits. Some can pick locks, others can use their weapon to break certain obstacles that are blocking your path in the game. And all of the characters can dash in this game. You can speed past certain enemies so fast, through entire locations so fast, by using the dash function. And you can just stop, attack enemies really quick, and keep on going. So what I'm trying to say here is that the combat is really fast and kinetic. That is where the addiction is. And when you've taken a lot of damage, you can just stand still and gain all your hit points back like past Ys games. And that's something you almost forget about. You're like, oh wait, this is an Ys game. Yeah, it has all the same things as past Ys games. Realistically, this game really reminds me of Ys 7 and Ys 8. It fits right into those right there. So if you've just played Ys 8 to begin with, this is very much like that. If you only played Ys 7, this is very much like that. There's also different ways to explore the world. You can go swimming, and that's a very relaxing thing in this game until enemies show up and you gotta take them out. But you can also find a certain item that will help you dive, and then you can go under entire underwater caverns, and that is a lot of fun. And speaking of fun, one of the crazier things in the game, the AI sometimes is absolutely batshit crazy. It is absolutely ridiculous. So you'll be going through a level, and all of a sudden you're like, where's my character? And he's just going crazy, spinning in one location, and you're just going, what is going on here? The great thing is no matter what, your characters never get stuck on one side of the screen. They never get stuck. It's only if you stop and have a look at them in one spot, but if you kept on going, they automatically follow you. So you don't have to worry about those characters keeping you back. And besides running around the world fighting tons and tons of enemies, you can go back to town, go up to the quest board, and complete certain quests for certain townspeople. And one of the funny ones to begin with is you go to the tavern keeper, and he's like, hey, can you get me some milk off one of these creatures so I can make this milkshake? And you're like, what? So you're off there fighting in the wilderness, and all of a sudden you see this creature, and you're like, I've got to milk this thing. So you end up sneaking up on it, milking it, getting this milk, bringing it back to the tavern guy, and he makes these milkshakes, and they're absolutely terrible. And I'm like, of course, RPG quests, right? Now we get to my favorite part of any Ys game, and that is the music. How is the music here? It's pretty damn good. It's pretty awesome. It was very strange for me because I'm running around all the time through this game, and I'm like, I know all the music. Because most of the music is from the dawn of Ys. And some of my favorite music in the series is the Dawn of Ys. So they're retakes, redone versions of those original Dawn of Ys tracks. And they're good. They're really good. I honestly prefer the Dawn of Ys soundtrack because that's, I think, what I played first. But these are really good tracks as well. I'll give you an example of the Dawn of Ys. And now the same song in Celceta. So there's a lot to take in with Celceta. Some of my friends were telling me, oh my god, I hate this game. Some people were saying, it's not bad. And I'm one of those people that say, this is not a bad game at all. It is not a bad game at all. It's 22 hours to get through it. You could probably grind it and make it a little bit longer. As I say, there's more difficulty levels. It's also, again, I say, not a full price game. Not a full price game. Who is this for, though? Who is this for? It's for Ys fans. It's for people like me. I was going to play this game no matter what. I played it all weekend. I finished it, and I enjoyed it. I did, because I like Ys games. So for me to be able to just jump back in to an Ys game, I feel very, very at home. I know exactly what to expect, exactly what I'm going to get. I know what that's all about. The same sound effects, the same kind of feel. I like that. So some people might have just played Ys 8 for the first time. Would I recommend this game to them? I'm telling you, Ys 8 for graphics and all that is probably the top tier. The top tier for graphics. And it's a very, very good game. I would recommend this for Ys fans or those who are curious about some other Ys games. Is it my favorite Ys game ever? No, it definitely isn't. I think some of the boss encounters are kind of lackluster. I mean, I enjoyed some of the battles in Oath of Felghana more than this, and that's, you know, that's strange. I was expecting a little bit more bang, right? A little bit more wow factor. But it's a very average game. It's not bad. You're going to have a fun time with it. You're going to get a 20-hour plus experience. For Ys fans, I think you'll like it. But for this Ys fan, I enjoyed it. So anyways, guys, until next time.